Good evening. I'd like to welcome everybody for being here tonight, and we will now call to order our meeting, and we will, and my agenda is missing. Where's my agenda? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Pam's always prepared for anything. All right. So tonight we will start with our invocation. And as we stand for that, I'd like to have a moment of silence in memory of Sylvester Brown. And then we will follow that with Pledge of Allegiance and opening comments from our board members. So if you now join me in the invocation. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for bringing us here tonight. We thank you for our friend Sylvester. And we ask that you wrap your loving arms around his family and friends as they learn to adjust to a life without him in their presence, but always in their heart. We ask now that you be with this board as we make decisions for all. Lead us in wise decisions and bring us all back together at our next meeting. In your grace, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we will move on now to opening board comments. Does anyone have any comments they would like to make tonight? Mr. Thomas?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I appreciate that. Just a couple, and they're kind of related more to the school system than us. But on the 14th of this month, I attended the high school student demonstration, you could call it, to I guess commemorate and honor the loss of the Parkland students, and it was a great, I guess, tribute. It wasn't really a demonstration because they talked about the students and talked about how the school should work together. So I thought it was more of a tribute, and again, I would implore the school board to give them excused absences because it wasn't really a protest, but that's entirely up to the school board. The other issue is over the weekend, I think most of the board members were aware, there was a Facebook posting that was very disturbing to quite a few people. And I understand people's First Amendment rights. You have the right to say anything you want for the most part. But the posting ended with threats. And I thought that was very bad. So as we say, it takes a village. I'm part of the village. I went to the school system yesterday, again, to support the students, hopefully to see the increased sheriff's presence. And that was clearly there. But in talking to many students and quite a few teachers, tensions were high, and there was quite a large amount of fear in the air. I got a call today from a parent who went through the school today and didn't see that same type of police presence. And I know we had a large presentation from the sheriff and those in favor of school resource officers. So I know the sheriff has 2 trained resource officers on staff now. He told me, and I think he told Mr. Cully. I would ask the sheriff's office, and I know Major Mosier's here, but I'd ask the sheriff's office to activate those school resource officers and put them in place as soon as possible to make sure nothing happens. There will probably be some financial implications, but I think between the Board of Supervisors, the sheriff, and the school board, we should be able to take care of those. And those are the things I had, Madam Chairman, and this is the time of resurrection. I hope we can resurrect peace on earth.
Amen.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Mr. Black?
I have a few. First of all, I do want to, I'd just like to say that the ceremony for Mr. Sylvester on Sunday was very fitting. He was kind of a friendly face and always said hello when you came in here, so it's kind of tradition to say hello to him when we entered, so I thought that was a very fitting kind of ceremony for him. Also, I do want to go over the public hearing for State Corporation Commission for Aqua Virginia's proposed rate increases, plural increases, will be held on Wednesday, April 4th at both 4 and 7 p.m. in the Ladysmith Community Center, which is the old Ladysmith Elementary. I urge everyone here on this Board of Supervisors, I think the vote went 5-1. I think it would be a very powerful message if each one of us was there, because this is not just a Western Caroline problem or a Madison District problem. This is a Caroline problem, and I know we paid money to lawyers to talk about this and fight for us, but at the same time, I think the State Corporation Commission hearing examiner needs to hear from us and see us there at that hearing. So if you can, please put it in your schedule. I also would like to thank, on a different note, I'd like to thank the YMCA. YMCA has adopted Highway Ladysmith Road from what is Madison Elementary to Route 1. And they did a fantastic job on Saturday of cleaning up. I think they had like 38 bags of trash along the road there. And it's a continuous problem, but they did an excellent job with that. Finally, I know we're going to be talking about the schools later on, but I ended up getting, I think, about 16 emails. I'm sure most all of us get the same emails from different teachers. As of Sunday, I was been really busy the last 2 days, but as of Sunday, I was able to at least send an email back asking if the teachers wanted to contact me. I did have conversations with 4 teachers, so I do want to thank them. It was a very, very eye-opening kind of conversation for both of us on both parties on each end. So I think there was a little, when we talk about having communication between both, I think it was good for both parties. So I do want to thank them, and that's all I have. Thank you.
Mr. Seeley?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I'd first like to thank or recognize that Bowling Green Fire had their awards ceremony on Saturday evening, and they recognized Carroll Ray Schools. At first he said it was 30-plus years, but at the end of the ceremony he finally fessed up it was 48 years of service, and he is still serving them, which is an incredible amount of time. And he challenged all the volunteers that were there to beat his record, whatever that turns out to be, which I thought was a powerful message. I would also like to mention that, I don't know how many folks here knew Mr. Brown, but he was always here at these meetings, and I will say that he was an icon in this building, and it's a sad day that he is now gone, and I just wish his family well and hope everybody will keep them in their prayers. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Underwood?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Certainly I want to echo the sentiments of my colleagues in wishing the Brown family well during this very tragic situation that they're in right now. But they're a big family. Hope they can pull themselves through. Like Mr. Thomas, I've received a number of phone calls regarding the Facebook posting, and I do have a lot of concern. I talked to Sheriff Lippa today, and he assured me that his office was handling the situation. But it's in light of the Parkland shooting in Florida, and to see how those young people have really moved the nation in terms of high school security, I just thought it was just a step back for us as the county. And I would urge us all to be involved in making sure that we are setting the right examples for our young folks, and that we can disagree without being disagreeable, and that's pretty good for me because I'm usually disagreeable. So certainly, I just think that we should be able to banter and discuss without having ill wishes or feelings toward one another. Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you. Mrs. Moran, do you have any comments?
I'd like to second and third the comments regarding Mr. Brown. He was always a smiling face when I was here for board meetings, for sports events, for other meetings. Always a very steady, pleasant individual to be around. Last night we had a work session on the budget. We had covered a lot of ground, talked about a lot of things. I proposed a 1 cent increase in the tax rate that I will forego making a motion for tonight because I know the result. However, that's where I am because I feel like the funding from that can go directly to schools. However, we have a lot of work ahead of us, and I too received about 18 emails. I responded to all but the last batch that came in yesterday and provided my perspectives on what I look at when I personally make decisions for the board, and did get a couple of responses, and it seemed to be well received from the few that that did respond. There are a lot of moving parts in our decisions, and we don't take them lightly. I will assure each and every one of you. We have a lot of work to do, and it's still to be determined, but appreciate your support. Thank you.
And I just have a few comments. First, we did have a joint work session with the school board, and we appreciated having the time to sit down face to face and talk about some things and discuss things. We're still waiting for some information to come in before we can make any final decisions as far as budgets go, but we are working toward it. There's a lot of bookkeeping and decision making. We have a lot of people in this county that we all need to be taken care of, and so we just have to make sure that we cover the bases as best we can with what we've got, and please rest assured that we will do our best to work toward that goal. I also wanted to say that I was privileged to attend the Farm Bureau dinner with the supervisors. Mr. Black and Mr. Seeley were there, and it was nice to sit with some of our agricultural business people, property owners, and listen to reports. Delegate Orrick was there, brought us up to par on some things that had happened at the legislative sessions, and the fact that we're also waiting on their budget, which will affect our budget. So be patient, and we will eventually make a decision. So that is the last of my comments, other than to wish everyone a very blessed Easter season. At this time, I am going to ask for any amendments to the agenda. I know we are going to pull under appointments. We are pulling the Recreation Advisory and the zoning, so we will pull appointments from the agenda. Are there any other changes, omissions, or additions to the agenda for tonight? Oh.
What I don't, I'm sorry, I don't see the financial policies that we were going to discuss and potentially vote on from the last meeting.
I think we will send those out to you. We're going to vote on it next week.
Okay.
They weren't on the agenda.
Okay.
They couldn't be here.
They want to be here when we do that.
They can.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to send those out. Those we want to adopt tonight.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the amended agenda without items 2, appointments for tonight's meeting.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. All right. That brings us to our presentations and reports for tonight. We have one presentation or recognition and one report. And we are going to start with an introduction by Mr. Black on our presentation and recognition of Karin Hale and Deshaun Hamlet. And should they come on up? You all want to come on up to the front and just stay down here by the podium, and we'll be down there in just a sec. This is the polar bear plunge. It was cold that day. It was very cold.
I'll give you a little kind of synopsis before we start. I thought this was something that's kind of a true testament to Caroline County and something that really deserved recognition. The plunge, of course, was back in the beginning of February, but its purpose is to raise money. The reason why the plunge exists is it involves 9 different organizations to help raise money for a particular cause. So different organizations have different causes in which they plunge for. Rights Chapel, these 2 gentlemen here, Deshaun and Corinne, they plunge for Rights Chapel, and that money goes towards families who can't afford to heat their homes. So this was actually a video that was taken of the plunge, and it kind of shows you what these 2 gentlemen did. So I'll just have you guys watch this for a minute, and then Ms. Long will read the resolution.
It's now. It's a video you have.
What you see there at the very end is Deshaun actually carried Corinne in. Corinne wanted to plunge, and they carried him in. There's actually another video that was that's out there that shows, it's a kind of a close-up video that shows the two of them going into the water together. So it was quite a sight, and we really appreciate what you 2 gentlemen did. So you're kind of the face of the plunge this year. I mean, your video was shared something like 5,000 times, so it went out everywhere. So we appreciate it.
So I'm going to read this, and then Mr. Black and I and the other board members are going to come down front and present them to you. I have one for each of you. They're the same. And we'll get a couple pictures. Okay? All right. A resolution commending Corinne Hale and Deshaun Hamlet for embodying the spirit of the Caroline County Polar Bear Plunge. Whereas each winter in cold climates throughout the United States and the world, participants enter a body of water in freezing temperatures to raise money for charity in an event known as the Polar Bear Plunge. And whereas in 2006, Caroline County, Virginia began its own Polar Bear Plunge tradition to raise money for less fortunate citizens in the county. And whereas about 35 brave plungers took part in the 2018 Caroline Polar Bear Plunge on February the 3rd at Lake Landor and raised over $17,000 for 9 local charities. And whereas among the plungers on February 3rd were Caroline High School students Corinne Hale and Deshaun Hamlet, and whereas Mr. Hale is a junior who is a member of the swim team and film club and is active in youth group and high school Bible study at Rights Chapel United Methodist Church, And whereas Mr. Hamlet is a senior and a member of the football and indoor and outdoor track teams, and is also active in the youth group at Wrights Chapel United Methodist. And whereas both young men plan to attend college after graduation and look forward to an upcoming church mission trip to Haiti in the summer. And whereas as the event unfolded, Deshaun carried Karan who was born with cerebral palsy and uses a wheelchair, into the freezing water to take part in the plunge. And whereas this act of generosity and trust lifted both young men, and the bond between Karan and Deshaun perfectly embodied the spirit of the plunge and warmed the hearts of all those who attended on that frigid day. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors hereby commends Karan Hale and Deshaun Hamlet for the example they set and the inspiration they have provided for their church, community, and Caroline County at the Polar Bear Plunge, and wishes them much continued success and good luck in the future. Adopted this 27th day of March 2018. Congratulations, gentlemen. Well done. Gentlemen, if you join me up front.
You're a braver man than I. Getting in. I have to fall in to do that. Congratulations. How long did it take you to recover from that?
About 10 minutes. You can ask him, I was in the car, I was like, bro, I can't move. No.
Look at those muscles. You couldn't drop them.
I was worried I was going to collapse on him.
Got both. Jeff, why don't you stand in the middle? Right here. Do the polar bear plunge, yeah. I've worked with you a lot, Mark. I know how you want it. Brian's got the softball.
Thank you.
I don't know if we can get back from college, man.
You're very inspiring.
That's all right.
It was crazy.
It was the inspiration. Okay, that was fun. Now, we'd like to have Miss Barbara Allen come up and talk to us about a plaque to honor Caroline County's veterans of the Vietnam War.
Good evening.
Good evening, Ms. Allen.
I became aware of the fact that there was nothing to honor the Vietnam veterans when I was helping find pictures of the men who died from Caroline during the war. And I found that we're on the wall of faces, they are doing the complete history of each person that died with a series of pictures. So I visited with each of the families and collected the pictures and then carried them to Mrs. Delp in Culpeper County, who works for the Vietnam Memorial. And I checked around in the county and found the plaque at the sheriff's office and, of course, the Korean plaque. And there's a monument on the courthouse yard lawn with the stones, the brick pavers around it that you can purchase and put a name on. And so I just thought maybe Caroline would be interested in doing something for the Vietnam veterans. And on the sheriff's office is a plaque now that honors the World War I, World War II, and the Korean War veterans. So I just brought it to you all's attention to see if there was an interest in helping to get something done to recognize these men. And the families, there's a large number of people in the county that are family members of the men who died. There were a total of 6. When we originally started, there was 5. And then I found one from Caroline who was buried in Utah because his wife was living there when he was killed in Vietnam. So I'm just interested in any comments, and I'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Ms. Allen, do you think we're complete with the study now, or has the word been passed with the Historic Society in case there are any others, such as the last gentleman that you found, that maybe we're not aware of?
No, according to the people, because there was a couple of people from the Historical Society that went through the Caroline Progresses and found these articles concerning this. I've been on the Wall of Faces website and through local family members, and there's a gentleman over at Carmel Church, Paul Prince, that I talked to. He's very involved in the Vietnam era. He served during that time also. And so as far as we can tell, there are only those 6 individuals from Caroline County that were perished during the Vietnam War.
And have we ever thought, and this is just an idea, nothing against where we currently have the plaques at the sheriff's office, but since we had the other memorials on the courthouse green, has there ever been any talk about repositioning them so that all the memorials are somewhat together?
That would be fantastic as far from someone who goes to all of the Vietnam, the veterans celebrations in November and all the Memorial Day. My father and my brother both served in the service, so I attend those, and all the services are held there. Now, one of the ladies that I communicated with is from Hanover County, and her brother is one of the men that was killed from Caroline, and they have all of theirs at a specific place at the Hanover Park on 301. There's a memorial there that the county did, and most of you may have seen in the paper, Stafford County just did a large memorial up there that was funded. They raised money for it and did a really beautiful job, so I'm told, up there. On the courthouse lawn, I don't know what the procedure would be, but I'd be glad to check into it. I personally would love to see it there where other people would be able to see it. I don't know how many people were aware that there was a plaque on the sheriff's office building, which is designated from the paperwork that I found as Caroline's War Memorial Building.
I think for permission to do anything in the courthouse, it's which circuit court judge is who we'd have to talk to. But it's just something to think about since you're Always looking for citizens to come
Well,
up with
there's
thoughts.
a fence around a monument there, and it would be the perfect place to put a plaque or something to remember each of the men that died from Caroline County for the various wars. It would be, very visible, but whether that would be something the county and the courts would want to agree on.
That's something we could work on for the future, but for tonight, we're asking for you're asking for $2,000 to order a plaque for the Vietnam.
That's the price that I was given when I went and talked to Carolyn at the funeral home. They will match the plaque that is currently on the wall. I don't know whether, I know there's a plaque in the county administrative office that's very similar. I don't know whether you all have bought plaques before and had better prices than I was able to find. I was just looking for some ideas when I started this. But it's just something that I thought about when I worked a couple of years ago, and then when we had the World War II and World War I celebration last year, I went, you got to get up and do something if you want it. So, as I say, I took the plunge. It wasn't a cold one, though.
Madam Chair, could I ask a question?
Yes, Mr.
Yeah,
Thomas.
Mrs. Allen, all of these names are on the wall in D.C., right?
Yes, they are.
Okay. And we did, the Board of Supervisors back in 2005 for the 40th anniversary, we recognized a couple of Vietnam veterans, and it was a great thing. I would like to make this a celebration of not only these 6, but all of the others, because I'm old enough, I know you're not old enough, but I'm old enough to remember when they came home, and they didn't get a parade. I'm just kidding, don't say anything. But they didn't get the parade, and they didn't get the recognition.
No, they
So I'm going to make a motion that we give the $2,000, but also I want to ask if you'll, since you can do it, if you'll coordinate with some of the other Vietnam veterans and make this a full celebration and an honor for them.
Oh, I'll be proud to do that.
Okay, so that's my motion, Madam Chair, that we do the $2,000 for the plaque.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
And we'll work together to help you any way.
Okay, I'm going to
And I see somebody else
contact
back there, too.
the VFW and the other organizations that do this, and I'm still in contact with all of the families. There are 3 parents of these men still living.
Still here? Oh, that's great.
Yep. All righty, thank you very, very much.
Thank you. That brings us to our consent agenda. Are there any changes to the consent agenda? Do I have a motion that the consent agenda be approved?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
We're done with it.
We're done with that.
Going
I'm
to
sorry,
closed
we're
meeting.
going, right now, what we're going to do in the entrance of time, since we could not take public comment until 7:30, is we are going to take give you all a break. We are going to go into a closed meeting at this time, and Mr. Forehand's going to read that motion.
Turn on your mic.
I move that the board convene and close meeting pursuant to 1, the prospective business exception of section 2.2-3711.A.5 of the Code of Virginia to discuss a potential business and economic development project that involves the expansion of an existing business in the county about which no previous public announcement has been made. In addition, 2, the consultation with legal counsel and the briefings by staff, exemption of sections 2.2-3711.A.7 and 8 of the Code of Virginia to discuss specific matters requiring legal advice related to the potential litigation involving the county.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All opposed? So moved. We will be back here at 7:30. Thank you. You got it? Could I have a motion to come out of closed session, please?
So moved.
Second.
I move that the Caroline County Board of Supervisors certify that to the best of each board member's knowledge, that one, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirement by Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting to which this certification applies, and two, only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the board. Need a second.
Second.
Any discussion? All right, I need a certification, right?
You need to vote first. You need to vote first.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. All right. No. Mr. Thomas, do you so certify that only the public matters lawfully except from the meeting requirement by the Virginia law were discussed in closed meeting?
I so certify.
Mr. Black,
I so certify.
Mr. Sealy,
I so certify.
Mr. Underwood,
I so certify.
Mr. Forehand,
I so certify.
and I so certify. At this time, we will open the floor to public comment. Our public comment is open to anyone who would not, on any topic that is not a public hearing. And public hearings are listed on your agenda at the back of the room. But any other comments that you would like to make, please come forward at this time. On any other topic, you have 3 minutes. Please state your name and your voting district. Is there anyone who would like to speak on any issue not on public hearing tonight? Please come forward. Good evening.
I'm not sure if I totally understand what you said. Can I say anything about the schools or no? Did you say, because I didn't know what you were saying?
Not about the school budget, but anything we want to say about the schools, but not the budget. 'Cause
Oh,
that's
okay.
part of the public hearing.
Okay. So does that mean I need to wait till a different time? Okay, well, I will say thank you guys for your service. I am from Reedy Church. My name is Elizabeth Mitchell, and I do love our schools. Yes, that's what I'll say for now.
That was great.
Thank you.
That was great. Oh,
Paul, I also did not say in my opening comments that, in fairness to everyone, applause or loud expressions of support or dislike on anyone's comments are not allowed. Thank you. Just trying to keep it on a level playing field and save time. Anyone else would like to make a public comment? Mr.
Good evening, Madam
Parker?
Chair. George Parker, Madison District. I wanted to just thank one Mr. Floyd Thomas and our Sheriff's Office for Monday. We had a very stressful weekend with some social media posts that were disruptive to not only the community, but also upsetting to our students. There was a lot of dialogue and a lot of cooperation with our county officials and the schools, and I just wanted to be here to say that to thank you personally for the efforts made to make sure that we had a safe and effective school day on Monday, and that we are continuing to work with our community to ensure that divisive issues do not upset our community. So thank you so much, and thanks for your support in that area, and thank you for the Sheriff's Department's support on Monday as well.
before you leave, Dr. Parker, you know, I just want you to know that during board comments, I committed you and the sheriff and the Board of Supervisors to add those SROs right away. So just want to let you know I've already committed you. Okay?
Well, thank you.
Thank
Well,
you.
and we definitely appreciate the support, and seeing direct support from our elected officials is always welcome. Thank you.
How you doing? I'm David Ware from the Bowling Green District. On somewhat the same topic the superintendent just touched the bases on, but me as a parent would like to know what further are we going to do to eliminate, to ensure the safety of our students. With that being said, I know there was a police presence yesterday. Yesterday is one day. We have kids that are very fearful, and we cannot be absent to the fact is in the media we've had major deaths and catastrophes in schools. It used to be something that was outside of schools. Now it's in the schools. As a parent, as an uncle, as a coach, as an individual who cares about all the kids in the community, I would like to know what we plan on doing to continue this, because we can't just have a one-day thing. We had an altercation at a basketball game. We quickly found metal detectors to continue for the following games. What are we going to do to ensure that our kids are safe? Because we do have a lot of kids that do feel unsafe, and this is an environment that they should be in, learning, not worrying about their safety. And as a parent, I think I speak on behalf of a lot of people that are not here. We'd like to know what it will be continued.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to make a comment at this time? Anyone else that would like to make a comment? At this time, we will close public comment, and we will open our public hearings. Our first public hearing tonight is the County Administrator's recommended fiscal year 2018-2019 budget. Mr. Culley.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. I've got a PowerPoint, actually two different ones, one for the budget and one for the capital improvement plan, so we'll try to work our way through these numbers. These are basically the numbers that were in the presentation I made 2 weeks ago. There have been a couple of changes to some of the school numbers as I've worked through those with school personnel. I'd like to start with the overall total department request increase from FY18 to FY19, $7,598,747, or 15.42%. Total real estate tax increase needed to fully fund all requests, 34 cents. School operations fund requested increase $1,383,282, or 10.46%. And the real estate tax increase needed to fully fund schools' operational request would be 6 cents. Total proposed from FY18 to FY19, all funds is $96,376,898, which is actually down 1.05%. It's $1,042,129 less than FY18. The total increase to the proposed general fund from 18 to 19 is $1,144,669, or a 2.32% increase to the general fund, the operating fund of the county. Total cut from department request. In FY18, I cut $4,629,047 from department request. For 19, I cut $6,454,078. This budget for the county includes 6 new full-time positions, 3 EMT firefighters, which are backfill positions, 1 IT technician, and 2 school resource officers / deputies. Transfer to debt retirement fund, $4,901,805, which is an increase of $3,789, or 0.08%. Debt service payments for general government and schools, a decrease in $195,365. County debt service payments decrease $178,431. Whoops, too many pushes. School debt service payments decrease $16,933. Transfer to school operation fund from local funds, $13,578,641, an increase of $350,000, or 2.65%. Transfer to Children's Services Act, $729,475, it's a decrease of $36,800, or 4.71% decrease. Transfer to utility fund, $2,194,008. That's an increase of $439,436 or 25%. Utility fund is increasing $238,412, 3.92%. Capital outlay is increasing $159,525 or 50%. That includes the Rappahannock Water withdrawal permit, and this is a number that I revised since the meeting we had last for my engineer's new number, $275,000. That had been $600,000, and water supply well development still $200,000. Transfer to social services, $665,569. That's an increase of $6,923 or 1.05%. Transfer to capital improvement, zero. That's a decrease of $343,000. It includes $1,956,400 for the following capital projects. $500,000 is a relocation and new Ladysmith Solid Waste Convenience Site. $117,000 for a retention wall at Bowling Green Solid Waste Convenience Site. $352,400 for 9 replacement new sheriff's cars. Those are lease purchase. Includes $197,000 for a new ambulance to replace a 2009 Unit 16 lease purchase. $600,000 for a conventional cab fire engine to replace a 2000 model Ladysmith volunteer fire engine, which is known as Squad 2. That's a lease purchase. $150,000 to add to the current amount that's in the current budget of $350,000 for a new accounting system for the county. All these fundings are sourced from leasing or longer-term financing, so there's no cash moving to the capital improvement fund out of this budget. Expense increase including transfers to debt retirement in schools is $1,060,115 or 2.37%. Expense increasing excluding all transfers to other funds, $779,508 or 3.12%. Proposed expenditures of the general fund. The general fund, $50,420,093, which was, I had said earlier, an increase of $1,144,669. General government administration, $3,211,759 is increasing $169,939 or 5.59%. Judicial, $790,719 is decreasing $6,212. Commonwealth attorney, $609,895. It's actually increasing $18,636 or 3.15%. Sheriff's office, $4,676,197, increasing $214,217 or 4.80%. School resource officers, $254,421, increasing $122,941 or 93.51%. Fire and rescue, $5,239,933, increasing $462,605 or 9.68%. This includes the 3 new firefighter EMS personnel at a cost of $146,000. We did take the fire rescue stipend from $90,000 to $45,000. Total all public safety, including the above, $13,867,887, which is increasing $802,112 or 6.14%. Public Works, $3,485,249. That's increasing $26,565 or 0.76%. Total Health and Social Services, $621,230, increasing $4,859 or 0.79%. Parks, Recreation, Cultural includes library budget, $947,047. That's increasing $151,896 or 19.10%. Library budget is $464,372. That's increasing $147,542. New revenue that went directly to the library board that would now be included in the county revenue budget is $165,233. Prior year contribution, which is this year's budget to the library, was $126,821. We paid the full-time payroll cost of $190,009. So the actual savings from the conversion of the library to a county department is $17,691 for the year moving forward. Community development, $1,199,354. That's increasing $70,240 or 6.28%. This mostly occurs in the economic development, which is increasing $72,601 or 26.48%. And most of that money is, bless you, is for new contractual services for outreach and marketing that we spoke about last night at the budget work session. Transfers to other funds, $24,691,794. That's increasing $365,161 or 1.50%. And those are made up of the transfer to debt retirement that I spoke of earlier, $4,901,805. Transfer to social services, $665,569. To the Children's Services Act, $729,475. To capital improvements, which is zero. To dedicated public personal property to debt retirement is $1,535,509, which is decreasing $73,000. We have less money from that dedicated to debt retirement. To Caroline Utilities, as I spoke earlier, $2,194,008. To Dawn Wastewater, $178,993. It's increasing just a little bit at $2,073,736. Numbers to come out. Transfer to operating fund to schools, $13,578,641, which is $350,000. To school bus leases, we only propose to lease one new bus, but we have to pay for all the leases that we've done in previous years, $231,851. That's actually decreasing from last year, $23,596. Transfer to bus 4 new purchases, which is up one bus from 3 to 4, $392,476. That's increasing $98,119 or 33.33%. To the school CIP fund, $109,500. That's decreasing $59,984. It's about 35% down, but that is cash money to the school CIP, unlike the county CIP, which was leased. That would be cash money going within a transfer. To the textbook fund, $148,867. That's the local amount required by the state formula. Now to talk about the school budget. The total school budget request was $47,885,815. It's increasing $1,388,282 or 3.04%. Proposed by the county administrator, $46,211,230, increasing by $708,697 or 1.56%. State fund budget increase. In our budget, FY 18, $25,701,837. The FY 19 budget, based on the House budget, $25,942,669. So the state fund FY 19 increase is about $240,832. Total other funds, revenues, rebates that they have in our budget, $422,414. It's about $49,489 or 13.27%. I'm still working with the school finance director on that number, so that may change somewhat, but I think we got closer around 520 today to that number being where it needs to be. And I'm not going to read all of these numbers, but this is the actual FY adopted by category for FY 18, the requested, and the proposed. And so basically what this shows is a $40,970,994 school operations fund, and then what they requested, and then what I've proposed. And so basically, county administrator reduction is I can't adjust all those other numbers. They'll have to do that once the board ultimately gives them a budget amount. So they'll go back and adjust instruction, administration, and operations, and their miscellaneous funds, technology, that type of thing, to work out to a bottom number of $41,685,838, which is about $714,844, or 1.74% more for operations than was in FY 18 adopted. Local funds requested includes operation textbook and buses, $16,262,623. That's an increase of $2,335,211 or 16.77%. Local funds recommended $14,351,935, which is an increase of $424,523. New funds for school and operation, $714,844 or 1.74%. Textbook fund, has total with state and county money $423,165, and that's decreasing $34,069. That's all just based on state formula on ADM. Total local funds for schools, $19,776,432. That's an increase of $347,606. That's not the right number. Oh, I got that number right. This number's right. Includes $13,578,641 for operations, which is $350,000 or 2.65%. Includes $5,314,998 and 20 cents, which is supposed to go away, for school debt service payments. Includes $624,327,000 for purchases and new and existing lease payments for school buses. Includes $109,500 for school CIP items, and includes that $148,967 for the textbook fund. Local funds to schools equals 39.22% of general fund expenditures. It's 92.43% of total real estate revenues, and it's 55.33% of total property tax revenues, which includes personal property real estate. FY real estate tax rate, no tax rate increase was proposed or advertised. Rate is 83 cents per hundred. It's $21,397,093, increasing by $279,525 or 1.32%. FY19 personal property tax, no rate increase proposed, $9,185,659. That is increasing by about $617,422 or 7.21%. I won't read all the numbers on this. Is for the board we always try to see, because we'll balance out of the fund balance. We started this sheet as an unencumbered balance of 6/30/2013 with $10,901,101 in the bank, which was about 12.73% of our combined county general fund, school, and utilities budgets. And as we worked across those sheets, the fund balance increased. We projected it to be $13 million and 14% in February of 15, but it ended up $15,979,000. So we worked our way up to the percent total combined budgets and reserve 6/30/2015 to 17%. And as we worked across to 16 and where we projected, you can see we always exceeded or were real close to where we thought. In June 30, 16, we exceeded. We had projected we would be in February. We projected we would be at 12% back when I projected that in February 15, but we actually, in February 16, projected we'd be at 15, but we actually, by September 16, we're at 18, so we were projected low. We were a little conservative in that. And as we move forward, you can see in June 30, 17, we thought back in 15 we'd be at 11%, but we actually ended up at 15.89% combined budgets. It got real small here because the sheet gets real big, but I just wanted to show you, and we can look at that. Anybody can see this. We put it online. We'll be able to look at these numbers better. But where I projected 12.10% in 15, we still ended up in 15.4% when you come all the way over to the right side of that sheet from those projections. So we continue to do that today. We're projecting out still to be 12%, where we projected in February 17 we'd be at 9%. So I just wanted you to kind of, I knew those numbers are tough to read and I don't want to leave them up there for too long, but we've always beat those projections by 2 or 3 or 4%. Overview, general fund is increasing by $1,144,669 or 2.32%. Revenue's increasing by that same amount, obviously, but we're doing that from a transfer from the fund balance of $1,889,049. That's actually $24,982, 1.31% less than this current budget, but that's because we've done budget fund balance things during the year. We didn't start out with a number quite that high in last year's budget, but the things that we've done during the year, from basically for the amended budget, we're actually proposing a little bit less out of it than where we are today. I'd like to give special thanks for development of the FY19 budget to Curtis Finney, Director of Finance, Mr. Alan Parton, Deputy County Administrator, and all the department heads for submitting and working with Finance on their budget request. And with that, Madam Chairman, I would encourage you to open the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Culley. Okay, you ready, Mr. Kelly? Go ahead and open. All right, at this time, we will open the floor for public comment concerning the county administrator's recommended budget for 2019. If you'd like to come forward, you have a 3-minute window. Please state your name and voting district. And again, I will remind you to keep your emotions to yourself. Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello, Ms. Carson.
Hi. Nancy Carson from the Mattaponi District. Good evening to all the board members and Mr. Cully. I'm asking that you consider the county's budget being increased for the county schools. I know you, in your presentation, did not include any tax increase, but I still think a 1-cent tax increase could have assisted in giving more funding to the schools. Last year, the Board of Supervisors had a compensation salary study completed for their employees. This helped to place your employees close to the market value on the scales with the surrounding counties. This year, the schools had a similar study done, but we can't get the funding to help us place our employees in a similar situation. This is somewhat of a slap in the face to the county's largest employer. Since 2015, when Caroline County Public Schools hired Dr. Parker, the Caroline County School Board has worked diligently to answer any and all questions that you board members have had, to become as transparent as we could, and to try to work hard with you all. Caroline County has made great strides in becoming an excellent system, and to do this, we must have the county's support. Let's not forget that the parents of these Caroline County students also are taxpayers and want the best education that money can buy. The public spoke before in the bond referendum in overwhelming support of 81% to improve our school facilities. The students are our future. We need your help to continue to make Caroline County Public Schools an excellent educational system through funding our FY 2019 operational budget. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello, I'm Elizabeth Mitchell, the Reedy Church District. I also live in Caroline Pines. I am a parent. I have two high school students. I have a child at Caroline Middle School. I'm a paraprofessional at Madison Elementary School. I have been involved in Parks and Rec. I know some of you. I am impressed beyond belief that every year you guys you find ways to balance the budget, get a surplus. That's impressive. This past weekend, I accompanied my daughter down to Richmond to the Walk for Our Lives, and they are dreaming big. And you expect our county to build these children up, to educate them. We need to keep some of these teachers. They can't go. Some of these teachers that I work with, some of them I have friends who have left because they weren't given all the years that other schools were offering to. I don't understand it all, but I do know that we need to keep teachers here. We can't afford the turnover. It's too much. And I'm a paraprofessional because I like the down and dirty. I like to see these kids. I know these kids. These kids are in my neighborhood. I choose this. You guys are amazing, and you want us to do amazing too. You need to fund it. Dream big. It's worth it. Too many places aren't doing for our kids what needs to be done. And so I ask you to give us more teachers in the school. I'm not just saying you, I'm saying that's where the money comes. I mean, everyone, the board, school board as well. We need the teachers. We need the small sizes. The kids like being able to do rotations. You can't have a rotating class doing 3 different centers if you have 10 kids in each rotation. There's no way to manage that. And the STEM classes that Madison has, every school needs that. Every child deserves that. They need to be excited about these science concepts. It's exciting to not just know about how a circuit works, but to actually plug it in. And anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Ann Klockner, Executive Director at Legal Aid Works, which has been serving Caroline County since 1973. I sincerely thank you for your past support. We are asking for level funding this year. We understand all too well the tough times that tighten all budgets. Our 4 full-time attorneys and 1 part-time attorney cover 5 counties and 15 courts. We represent low-income people who need an attorney in civil legal matters. We help people get domestic violence protective orders, obtain unemployment benefits, and resolve landlord-tenant and foreclosure matters. We're the only agency providing this service. In your county, there are 2,942 eligible low-income persons who would qualify for our services. As an outside agency, we behave like an inside agency by helping county governments in 3 important ways. We take the strain off your social services safety net by lifting clients out of poverty with enforceable court orders of child and spousal support, as well as unemployment benefits that the clients would not otherwise have won without our legal intervention. We help the county court system run efficiently by helping those who can't afford an attorney, pro se litigants, those who come in without an attorney, slow the system down considerably. And we aid law enforcement by working with victims of domestic violence to secure enforceable protective orders. We leverage your financial support to provide legal services that benefit your citizens. In the last fiscal year, 136 of your residents were assisted by our 5 attorneys, including several critical domestic violence cases. We obtained $64,642 in annualized child and spousal support and avoided $2,983 in unlawful fees, fines, and debts. When you total the amount of real, measurable financial help we give the residents of your county compared to the amount you give us, that's an excellent return on your investment. Your county's poor citizens received more than $67,000 in those enforceable court orders and avoided additional costs. In the last fiscal year, the 3 offices of our agency obtained nearly $1 million for our clients throughout the 17 counties that we serve with just 9 lawyers. It matters a great deal to me that you have consistently supported us over the years. You say the Pledge of Allegiance, and you actually live the Pledge of Allegiance every year when you level fund us, because you are making sure that there really is justice for all. Thank you.
And
Thank you.
what was your last name again? I'm sorry.
My last name is Klockner.
Klockner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, Supervisors, good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you for the opportunity to comment on this year's education operating budget for Caroline County Schools. My name is Ray Scher, and I live in the Madison District. Though my wife and I do not have children, we have been sincere supporters and advocates for Caroline Public Schools for 20 years. When we first moved here, the aging school buildings and woeful list of major improvements needed in the schools would have daunted anyone. The good news is that beginning in 2008 and again in 2012, the Board of Supervisors used Virginia Public School Authority bonds worth $19.9 million to pay for the new Lewis and Clark School. In 2012, they also used a $26.3 million general obligation bond to update the remaining schools. The 2012 bond referendum was overwhelmingly approved by the citizens of Caroline County. We now have 1 brand new school and 4 older schools with significant improvements. The children, community, citizens, and educators have shown a great deal of increased pride in their schools' physical plants. We have the Board of Supervisors and the Commonwealth of Virginia to thank for these major gains for education. This problem of antiquated infrastructure is on its way to being solved. The yearly operating budget is now the most significant remaining and recurring problem for education in our county. We have ever been hopeful that our schools would make the quantum leap into the 21st century. While a series of modest changes instituted by several dedicated superintendents and their staff have made decent progress, we are still falling behind in our state constitutional duty to provide our children access to a relevant and equal public education. Every year, the supervisors have entertained the school board, school administration, and the residents with the school funding dance. The superintendent is invited to present an operating budget based on need. The professional educators present a budget that they know well will be paired by the supervisors. The two boards go back and forth over several months, promising to work in a collegial fashion. It is a rare year when both boards are satisfied with the final funding levels. Bad feelings are harbored by this process and is not pleasant to watch or hear about. Composite index numbers and rankings are bandied about. No new tax pledges are made before the process even begins. Tax rates are advertised that are legally fixed in stone unless re-advertised. Invariably, the dance results in the supervisors providing just a small increase over the state-mandated local required contribution so they do not jeopardize the state contribution, which always pays over half of the school system's total budget. The state money always anchors the school budget. Last year, I was overwhelmed and disturbed by this annual dance. The school board asked for a nickel increase in the real estate tax for the school children, and the county provided a 1 penny increase. I was at a loss at what to do. Like anyone, I do not like to pay taxes, but the schools need to be supported. I calculated what the nickel increase in taxes would have cost me and mailed a check in that amounts to the Caroline County Schools.
Mr. Scher, could you finish up?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Our school system improvements are slow and have become too slow for the system to succeed. We are mired in the school funding dance. We have to think outside of the box. We need to support a long-range tax-based plan of funding. My suggestion, and please give me time to finish. For years, we have not honored the requested budgets of the multiple educational professionals. I asked the supervisors to re-advertise a new tax rate to fund the school board's full request for this fiscal year and have this full funding of requests be honored for next 2 to 3 years. Hold another budget hearing. Let the educators and advocates sell the increase to the residents of the county. All I'm asking is, please think, approach it. We've been doing this for the 20 years I've lived here. We're not going there fast enough. Please consider funding the schools for 2 to 3 years at the requested.
Thank you.
You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm David Cooper, Reedy Church District, and I'm also the Executive Director of the Thurman Brisbane Homeless Shelter, which serves Caroline County and serves all of the counties and the city of Fredericksburg within Planning District 16. I want to first thank you for your past support of the Thurman Brisbane Shelter. It is an 80-bed shelter that serves about 500 people per year. We expect that to increase to about 700 people per year. Particularly of Caroline County, we have served 7 children, 11 women, and 16 men who are on their way up and out of homelessness back into stable housing again. We do so at a modest cost of $29 per night per bed. If you take those numbers I just gave you, that equates to about $39,000 of cost to the shelter. So I'd like to ask you to continue to support the shelter and ask you to consider an increase in funding for the shelter so that we can continue to offer a hand up to the individuals, the children, and by the way, 2 veterans as well there in the center. So thank you for your support.
Thank you. Well, ladies, thank you for coming down and getting in line. And if other speakers would do that, when you see one of the front chairs empty out, just come on down so we can save a little bit of time with legwork. Thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Deanna Calhoun. I'm from the Madison District. I'm coming here tonight and asking you to fund the school board budget as presented by the superintendent of schools. As school bus drivers here in Caroline, we are constantly told about the good job we do and how important our job is. We get that. We take our job very seriously and understand how important our work is. We know we make a difference in a child's day, and they depend on us, as well as the parents who depend on us daily getting their children to school safely. We affect every part of the day for the entire school system. We make it work for the taxpayers of Caroline. 95% of us, bus drivers, are taxpayers in the county, as well as our children, our extended families that live in the county. They all know how important our jobs are and how seriously we take our duties. In fact, the entire workforce in transportation work very hard every day to keep everything running the way it should, from the staff office to the mechanics to our supervisor. Many times we have been left out. So again, we're asking to be compensated for the job that we do. As you recall, the Board of Supervisors supported an increase in pay for bus drivers and paraprofessionals in this year's budget. We also feel that it's time to support all employees in the school system and the programs that the superintendent has identified in the proposed budget presented to the Board of Supervisors, and that would affect all school division employees. We're asking as taxpayers, employees, and citizens of Caroline County. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Janet Gullickson, president of Germanna Community College. It's a thrill to be here. I'm here to give you a report card, if you would. You have a folder in front of you, and I'd like you to take it out quickly, because we don't have much time. This is what you do in class, right? And as you're doing this, I want to introduce a very influential person on our college board, appointed by you, who's joined me tonight, Ms. Cleo Coleman. If you'd stand up, Ms. Coleman. She is an amazing woman in so many ways, but she's amazing in that she is always advocating for this county, and she's always advocating for the students of this county, and we are delighted to have her. I also want to give a shout out to the Caroline Public Schools, if I could. Dr. Parker has been an amazing role model for me. I'm new to this state. I came here from the state of Washington in July, and it was Dr. Parker who actually, with his guidance, suggested a whole new approach for Germanna and how we work with K-12 schools. You are very fortunate to have him. In this book, if you turn to the page, that just inside, the one next to a picture, I swear, of my mother, although I guess it's me, you'll see the majors and the programs that we offer. And sometimes people don't realize that these courses are available to your students and to the communities that Germanna serves. So we want you to be aware of all that we do. Secondly, we are asking for a minor increase this year, and the reason for the increase is that we are counting and serving more students, especially through our workforce classes. If you could just quickly take a look at the PowerPoint presentation, which has font somewhat as small as the ones Mr. Cully used, but fortunately I won't project them. You'll see that actually Caroline County is sending us more students proportionally. The portion of students at Germanna from Caroline County is going up, and we hope with our new relationships with the school district it will continue to go up. On the next page, you'll see the demographics, who we're serving, what kinds of students we're serving. And on the following pages, you'll see a variety of information about the courses they're taking. Most of the Caroline students that come to us are transfer students and also allied health students. So you'll see on the next pages where the career technical courses and graduates are. The interesting thing about Germanna's students is they stay in the community they serve. And Mr. Cully and I have talked a fair amount of time about the economic development needs of the region. And we really, I hope, continue to work closely together to support the workforce needs that you have and to keep your young people here, which we understand is very important. The report card part really starts with the school partnership, and I'll tell you that we've had some very exciting conversations with the Caroline Public Schools in terms of creating a pathway for students so that the last year of their enrollment at the schools is truly valuable and actually could position them to have at least 1 year of college completed, if not more, upon high school graduation. If you'll notice, we give the opportunity for a career coach at the high school. It's a part-time position, and it costs about $40,000 a year. Germanna pays for it, but it's totally a Caroline County Schools service or person. I want you to look too, please, if you would, at the free workshops that we've offered in Caroline County. We feel that we are a community college, which means we serve communities. Workforce classes, I was bowled over, honestly, when I came here and went to the Caroline Center. It is a gorgeous center. We need to use it more and more, and we look forward to partnering closer with everyone to offer more workforce courses and certificates. We are especially, if you look forward, interested in building and expanding our apprenticeship programs. Apprentices are in much demand in this state, and we need to really sell them with employers. The way apprenticeships work is that employers pay employees while they're learning. And it's a very, very wonderful program, and we'd love to expand it. You can see some of our masonry work. I don't get it, but it's sure those little arches stand up. I don't know how that happens. And we will be continuing our one-stop service in Caroline County, which costs about $16,000 a year. And that's one day a week that we serve this county. Thank you very much for your attention. And all you do. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Hi, good evening. My name is Amanda Parkinson, and I'm from the Bowling Green District. I'm here to talk about the proposed school budget. My family has lived here in Caroline County for 18 years. We fell in love with the small community feel and how everyone knows and looks out for one another. It saddens me that my kids don't have the support from their local board of supervisors to improve the school system they attend in order to allow them to get a good education. Allowing this proposed budget will be detrimental to our school system. Classes will be cut or be not made available. Our newly renovated buildings will not be able to be maintained, and it will be extremely difficult to retain and recruit good teachers for our kids. Just 15 miles north in Spotsylvania County, an entry-level teacher can make $10,000 more than that of Caroline County. If the teacher has a master's degree, that salary gap is even greater. Technology changes on a daily basis. Children come into our county with different needs, such as disabilities and/or language barriers. How is the school system able to support these children going forward with the proposed budget from the Board of Supervisors? Before deciding to approve the budget, I ask each member of the board to take a step back. Imagine yourselves a teacher, a parent, a cafeteria worker, a janitor, a bus driver, and better yet, a student. If you were one of these people, would you still agree with the proposed budget that's being offered? Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Sabrina Christensen. I'm in the Port Royal District. As a parent, it is disappointing that our county does not support the increase requested by the Caroline County Public Schools. County Administrator's proposed budget is a slap in the face to every teacher, parent, and more importantly, child in Caroline County. The statement put forth with that proposed budget is that our children don't matter. In neighboring counties, nearly 1/2 of the school revenue comes from their local government. In our county, our local government contributes only 1/3, relying on state and federal monies to cover the rest. In short, Caroline County has been passing the buck, and they are attempting to do it again. You are making a statement that the children of our county aren't worth your effort. Our children do matter, and they are worth the expense. They deserve to have the same educational opportunities and services as our neighbors. If you accept the county administrator's recommendation, you are turning your back on the children in your community. Dr. Parker, with the help of his staff, parents, students, and the members of our community, developed Pathways 2022. This is a 5-year strategic plan to make our school system one of the best districts in Virginia. The understanding that when it was created, this was an all-hands-on-deck approach to improving our schools. All hands on deck means that you, as our Board of Supervisors, are jointly responsible for its success. Without the funding for the Pathways 2022, desperately needed teachers will not be present at the beginning of our 2018 and 19 school year. Without those teachers, course offerings will need to be reevaluated, canceling some classes while overloading others. In addition to not having adequate teachers, the county will not be able to fulfill a federal guideline for a translator for limited English proficient families. In order to be competitive in their future jobs, our students need to become proficient in working in a digital environment. Without support, the digital conversion at Caroline Middle School will become difficult, further stalling the progress put into getting our students ready to join the workforce. In addition to the priorities of Pathways 2022, hiring, training, and retaining quality teachers is a must for our school system. When compared against neighboring counties, the compensation of our teachers is appalling. New teachers make less here than their counterparts do in the neighboring districts. Veteran teachers, due to their lack of pay increases, are falling behind their equals. As a PTA board member, I have witnessed too many teachers make the decision to leave the kids they love to work in another district. At the beginning of last school year, an entire grade level in our school needed to be recruited in addition to the other vacancies. Teachers, great teachers at that, are leaving every year because they aren't valued here. When teachers are valued, they stay. When teachers stay, stability is created. Stability to build success, and ultimately, when a school system is successful, the area around it grows. Long-term successful schools attract residents and business. I won't argue that the county has done great things for our school system. It's time, however, that Caroline County truly step up to the plate and go to bat for our children. I ask that you grant the requested budget in full. I ask that you support Pathways 2022 and that you support paying our teachers what they are worth. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next.
Good evening, Madam Chair. I am Dr. Jawanda Rollins-Fells from the Reedy Church District. And in the sake of honoring time, I would like to share my comments from a totally different approach. I grew up here in Caroline County, and therefore I was a student at Bowling Green Elementary. When I went to college, I knew that I wanted to be a teacher and took advantage of the opportunity to build my resume by coming home every spring break and working as a substitute teacher. So I know what it's like to be in the classrooms at all levels. Once I finished my degree, I actually came back and I worked at Bowling Green Elementary and then at Madison Elementary, so I've served as a teacher for 15 years. I'm a mom. I have a 15-year-old who is a freshman at Caroline High School. And every morning at 6:15 like clockwork, that bus stops at the front door to pick her up. I have a vested interest in Caroline County. Outside of being a resident, a teacher, and a mom, I took the position of being on the front line by running for school board and represent Reedy Church District. I also have the vote of confidence from my fellow board members as I serve as the vice chair. What I'm saying is that the perspective that I bring is one of several years. I won't tell my age, but I've been here. I have watched the progression, some hush money right there for my age. I've watched the progression. I've experienced it. I've been in the hallways. I've been on the school bus. I've been in the classrooms. I've been in the trenches, and now I'm on the front line. I would like for our staff to know that we see them, we know their value, and it is a top priority of mine to make sure that my voice is heard to advocate for the compensation of our staff. You have asked in our relationship since I've been on the board to serve in a collaborative capacity, and I would like to commend you all for your efforts. It has been refreshing as a public official to work together, to ask the hard questions, to hear the different perspectives, and I would encourage us to continue to do the same. The audience has spoken, and our citizens and our teachers and staff who are here, they've given you great examples of the impact of the decision. The one thing that I would like to leave you with, though, is the last time that we asked our citizens directly if they support the school system, the budget, and the needs, 81% responded affirmative with that bond referendum. I ask that you would please consider and continue the dialogue and the conversation about how we can work together to find the funding to fully support our budget request. Pathways 2022 is what we use to align all of our requests and all of our activities. So I do want you to know that not only myself, but my colleagues, we are looking at being strategic and intentional with what we do and the service that we provide and the responsibility that we have. I thank you for your time, and again, I encourage you to put children first. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Michael Hart. I'm with the Mattaponi District, and I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I support increased funding for our schools. When my wife and I moved here from Spotsylvania, we didn't have children, and the Caroline County Public Schools did not have a stellar reputation for performance, but we didn't care because we didn't have a child who was going to be hurt by that. We had a child in 2005 because God has a sense of humor, and we decided, what are we going to homeschool? Are we going to move? Are we going to invest in private education so that our daughter can get the education that she deserves? And we decided that we were just going to wait the 5 years while she got ready for kindergarten and then see what Caroline had to offer at that time, because Caroline was already taking steps to improve. And we noticed that we wanted to give everybody a chance to make the situation better. And she enrolled at Madison. We pulled up to the front door, and there's trailers in the parking lot. And we're thinking, what have we gotten ourselves into? And then we went inside. And that was where the heart of the school was with the staff and the people in there that really made a difference. And we couldn't be happier. We're so glad that we stayed. And it was so short-sighted of me to diss the schools, because even if you don't have a child, investment in this community's education base is probably the single greatest investment that you can make in terms of having an impact. And I just want to thank you all for the work that you've done, for the support that you've given, and I challenge you to continue moving us forward. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Emily Hart of the Mattaponi District, and I am a 7th grader at Caroline Middle School. All through my school career, I've had amazing teachers. They've opened new opportunities, and they've always helped me when I didn't understand something. An example of an opportunity that I've been offered is my Eagle Hour and science teacher, Dr. Harnden. We have a mixed Eagle Hour, which is unusual at our school, but we have this because she's teaching us she's teaching us STEM skills. Last quarter, we made our very own hydroponic system, which is a way to grow plants without the use of soil, which I would never have done without her. Our kids are the future of our county and our country. This means teachers are the path. They guide us as we discover who we are and what we want to do with our life. I'm confident with great teachers by my side that I can go on to do great things. But what if these teachers leave because they don't get raises and another county offers them more? Who will guide us? How will we find our way? You can help reduce this risk by voting in favor of an increased school budget. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Well done, dear. Next. I'd keep her. Anyone else who'd like to speak? Anyone else that would like to speak? At this time, hearing no other comments, we will close this public hearing. I do want to remind everyone that the budget that you saw is the county administrator's proposed budget. The Board of Supervisors, we are still working. We are still waiting for figures. We had a work session last night. I believe we have a joint work session with a couple of the school board members. We are still working on this. We have listened. We've listened to both sides, and we will continue to work to try to do what's best for everybody. But thank you so much for your comments tonight and for taking the time to be here. Our next public hearing is on the proposed tax rate for the tax year 2018. Mr. Cullen, you're up again. Do you want to say anything? Sure. All right, the board's requested a 5-minute break in between public hearings, so stretch your legs if you're sitting down, and we'll be back in 5 minutes. All right. break is over, and Mr. Cully, we are opening the proposed tax rate for tax year 2018.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I would guess by the amount of people that are remaining, the proposed zero tax increases across the board, that's not going to a lot of interest. But anyway, we're not proposing any increases to any rates, personal property or real estate. They all remain level for that. So you just need to hold a public hearing on that.
Is there anyone who would like to speak on this topic? Is there anyone that would like to speak on the proposed tax rate? Anyone who would like to speak? Hearing no comments, public hearing is closed. Our next public hearing is on the proposed fiscal year 2019 to 2023 capital improvement program. Mr. Cully, you're up again.
I promise this one isn't as long. We'll start with the FY19 total request, all departments. Infrastructure, $4,862,500. Equipment, $1,651,500 for a grand total request of $6,514,000 for FY19 CIP requests. The grand total, if you look at FY19 through 23, is $92,102,300. County Administration recommendation, all departments. Infrastructure, $1,626,500. Equipment, $1,239,400. Grand total, $2,865,900. Equipment, police vehicles, and remember, most of these things we've kind of already hit on in the regular budget. $352,400. The lease amounts $108,484. EMS replacements $837,000. The lease amount $118,764. Financial software $150,000. Lease amounts around $54,528. And the lease amounts are what's actually included in the FY19 budget. Well, the whole number is, but the lease is where we're getting the revenue to pay for it. On the infrastructure side, water supply well development, you know, we've been marching down a path of investigating new well sites, so it's $200,000 to dig some of those investigative wells. This is still the CIP number of $600,000, but that comes down to $275,000 based on the new recommendation from the engineers, and replace the accounting tax system at $150,000. Ladysmith Volunteer Rescue Fire Station repairs, and that's not, I didn't get that right. Sorry, that's Ladysmith Convenience Center replacements $500,000, and the Bowling Green retaining wall $117,000. That Ladysmith station repair is not in there. Subtract that out. You look at this thing 1,000 times and you see the numbers. Yes. Yeah, all those numbers are the same as from the regular budget. The Rappahannock withdrawal goes down to $275,000. Ladysmith Volunteer Fire Stations we are doing in this year's budget. It's not supposed to be there. The retaining wall we've talked about for a number of months is $117,000, and then the site relocation, we're running into issues trying to expand the Ladysmith convenience site due to VDOT requirements for a turning lane and state DEQ requirements for a stormwater pond.
Mr. Collins, can I ask you a couple questions?
You can, yes.
The Rappahannock River withdrawal permit, you said that went down to $270, right?
$275.
$275. Okay, is that because we're making payments, like the $600,000, we're going to pay more later on down the line?
No, because we didn't have to do some study. Mr. Shebel would be able to explain a whole lot more detail, but some really expensive study out in the water studying something.
Okay, so that's not money that's going to come up down the line.
No, I'm not moving that down the line. $275 plus the money we already have. $325 we already been putting in other budgets. We'll do all the studies we need to hit.
You already used that money.
No, it's just sitting there. Well, we've used some of it, but
$325 you've already used.
That from previous years, including this budget, we have money in for the Rappahannock withdrawal. So we've either rolled it and it's piling up in a reserve for it. but all I need moving forward with what I don't already have is now $275,000. We thought when we started the budget, remember CIP started in the fall, we were estimating $600,000 because we didn't know whether we were going to have to do that big study. What is the name of that thing? Hydrodynamic study in the river, but we don't have to do that.
And you were just explaining this. It was my understanding that the Ladysmith Convenience Site, the cost last year, when we were talking about it, we had moved, it was in last year's budget, and then we moved it out of last year's budget into this year's budget. We had talked about the total cost, I thought was $500,000, correct? I thought that was what we were told was a total cost of about $500,000.
Yeah,
and now I'm looking at $1.5 million.
Correct. But we can't expand the current site. So with the turning lane and the stormwater management pond, there's no room to expand it. So you'll just be remodeling the space you're in, which is already too tight. So we need to find another place, and we're working with some landowners to try to have a larger site. But it still needs to be near utilities, if we can, and over in that area. But yeah, it's about $1.5 million.
That's, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Schools infrastructure, replace the CMS generator, $59,500. And as we talked in the budget work session, staff computers, $50,000. I did hear, I think, from the schools that maybe they could live with less than that, or maybe some of that could move from there to the operations budget. But those are decisions we got to make. But this is what's in the CIP.
And that was my question. They said they would buy 50 to 60 computers. So
I think that number went up to like 75 as we were talking yesterday.
Well, okay, but it's $800-900 a computer, and I'm not sure if we're getting the best economical price for those. So.
Right. I did hear Dr. Parker. I'm pretty sure we can confirm that tomorrow, but I think Dr. Parker said that yesterday that was something that they could live without, that was a standardized request to the CIP from their IT people.
But
not necessarily his priority.
But see, that's the point, and that really gets to the issue of a lot of our problems and I guess contentiousness. This is, the number of computers, or that number doesn't matter. The number of computers for that number matters a lot.
Right.
And I'm not sure we're taking advantage of the best cost. So if we go out and buy a lot of things at retail price, instead of using a state contract, I know you're not buying them, but this is more for everybody. We can't buy computers at $1,000 a computer when you can buy them off the shelf at Best Buy for $300 or $400.
You can get them off a state contract way better.
And that's what I want to make sure we do.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we do.
We need to be a little more cost efficient. That's the only point.
I will add that was a $100,000 request. And I did, from being at a CIP meeting with them where they talked about replacing computers, and I don't remember the numbers and all, but they do have a fair amount of old ones in staff circulation. So that's why I said, well, I can't afford to push 100,000 forward, but maybe 50,000 we'd be able to do. And the generator is important due to the fact that we do use that as a shelter. Correct, Chief? So that is our emergency shelter. So I think that replacement, along with the gas conversion and all the other things that are going on there, I felt like that was an item we did need to push forward.
Mr. Cully, the total increase to schools again was 714,000 total.
In that range, yes. That's based on budget numbers.
Budget numbers, right.
Right. I will continue to refine that with, that was operations.
Operations, yeah.
That was operations. It was all operations. I'll continue to work on that with Mrs. Stevens, and to try to, by the time we get to April 10th, I'll have a even closer handle on that. But that's what I have today on that number.
Not the reversion. He was talking about what's the current number.
Current number. I can go back and find it in the spreadsheet if you want.
Because we were discussing what that number actually is right now. And
I can sort of show you.
Wait, you guys are saying total increase to schools, or the operational budget increase to schools? Yeah.
No, that was the operational local money to schools.
Right. We're just talking local money.
Local money.
You're talking the total. But I thought you said state was 200.
200 and something, but there's other funds in there. If you look in your budget that I sent you today, and open the schools tab down there for the general fund tab, either on revenues, you'll see a bunch of revenue line items up under other revenues. One of them is they're broken all out, and I found out today there's a placeholder of $359,000 as a revenue, and Fran was breaking those out, and the schools were lumping them together. We're way off of this PowerPoint, by the way, but anyway.
Well, but we need to clear all of this up because it affects the CIP.
Okay. Well, anyway, if you would, that's where that number comes from. The total amount of revenue that I can figure out that they've got coming new with our 350, with what I think the state's given them, and what these other what other miscellaneous revenues, use of buildings, E-rate, Medicaid. There's lots of line items that are in there that add up to, looks like around that. Now, I'm not positive that's 100% right. We've got to massage that down with the schools, but we were real close this evening with emailing my numbers back and forth with Mrs. Stevens.
All right, guys, can we get back to the capital improvement plan? Thank you.
Oh, that's fine. Broke my computer. The total recommendation for infrastructure, $1,626,500. Equipment, $1,239,400, for a total of $2,865,900. And all these projects are either long or short-term finance except school. The school $50,000 and the school $59,000 is cash. All the county side is leases, or we got to go, if we're going to do the convenience center, we got to borrow $500,000, that type of thing. It's no cash there for those things. And for the development of this starts in planning with Mike Fincham, Director of Planning and Community Development, Lisa Zek, who does all the spreadsheet work on that. Then the Planning Commission held a public hearing, Curtis Finney, Director of Finance, and of course Mr. Parton for his good work in helping us through this at the final stages and somewhat at the beginning. So with that, I'll answer any other questions you have.
Mr. Tulloch.
I might have to get my computer in my spreadsheet. But.
Mr. Black?
Sorry. I had a question on, I saw the price of lights at the softball field. I'm where, I don't know where.
Oh, yeah, that's in there. I couldn't figure out how to fund that. And all of them. That's in your spreadsheet. Anybody have that handy?
I've got.
Joey's worked up all those numbers. He can come up to the podium and talk intelligently about ball field lights. Well, some of those are lights at the main park, lighting an additional field at the main park, and lighting a field at Ladysmith Community Center.
Yeah.
Are we playing football at night?
They're playing. So
we're not funding that. Is that in the capital?
It was a request.
Got it.
How many numbers?
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I'm just curious. It's to light the softball field. It's $305,000.
Yes, we actually had a company that came out and actually did an evaluation and looked at it and provided those numbers. So those are actually numbers that we got.
Didn't you talk about last year that you were doing that, or that you had planned
We
to do
talked
that?
about putting it into the CIP. We brought it before the board, and
We haven't done anything with the lights over there?
No, sir. All of it's been placed into the CIP.
No, I thought it was something that we talked about that we were doing last year, that you were close to. Okay. That seems awfully high, but okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Mr. Cully? All right. Thank you, Mr. Cully. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. If anyone would like to make a public comment on the capital improvement program, please come forward. Anyone would like to make a comment, please come forward. One last time. Seeing no one coming forward, I will close public hearing. Thank you, Mr. Cully. Oh, whoa, now we're awake. That's all right. All right. Our last public hearing tonight. Mr. Fincham, are you awake over there? I told my husband it was going to be a short meeting and I'd be home early tonight. Yeah.
I make a motion now?
After the public hearing.
Oh, okay,
Members of the board, your last public hearing tonight is the proposed amendment to Chapter 108 of the County Code, which would prohibit the parking of commercial vehicles on certain streets, which are specifically named in the ordinance. This is the parking ordinance that was prepared by Sheriff Lippa, I believe, 2 meetings ago when we were discussing parking and truck regulations. We had the first reading at your last meeting, and the public hearing was scheduled for tonight. There is one blank, which is the dollar amount of the fine, and under 108.23B, I believe the reference for that would be $50. Mr. Mosher is back there, I think, representing the sheriff tonight, who, as we all know, is recovering. So if there's any questions, I will forward those to Major Mosher.
Mr. Finch, I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
If we wanted to add streets, what's the process for adding streets in the future?
We would come back and pardon? It's just an amendment of the ordinance. Yeah. We could come back and amend those in the same manner as we're adopting this ordinance tonight.
Okay. Fairly straightforward, fairly quick process.
Yes, sir. And if you remember, this is the lesser version that we had discussed at the previous meetings that's available under current state law.
Mr. Fincham, this simply is effective in the subdivision that requested it. Doesn't affect anybody else in the county.
That is correct.
Somebody asked me, and I just wanted to make sure I was correct.
That's why the streets
Mr.
are
Thomas.
That's why the streets are named, and for Mr. Forehand, we've only worked on it for 2 years, so you can take a month to get it added on, but we're basically ready to go if you want to do the public hearing, I think. I apologize to the folks from Belmont. We probably should have had you first public hearing, but here we are.
At this time, anyone from the public wishing to make a comment, come forward, and I'm opening the public hearing.
Well, good evening. Thank you, Madam Chairman and the board, for allowing an opportunity to speak tonight on this matter. My name is Gerald Smith, Mattapanai District. I've been a 14-year resident with my wife in the Belmont subdivision, and I serve on the Homeowners Association board and have done so for many years as treasurer, so I know the level of pain you're going through tonight. Especially want to thank Floyd and Sheriff Lippa for their support on this matter. We've been driving this particular issue for a while. I'm very pleased to see this public hearing tonight. The Belmont community is very close to Route 207 and 995, and we get a few more than our share of interlopers that either don't want to park in the truck parking area, or it's very convenient. A lot of those are out-of-state tags and everything else going on there. We see this as a significant risk, especially to our children. With these trucks in this area, it reduces visibility a lot. People go around them. It's a possible hazard. We've had a little bit of relief on Omaha Drive. VDOT put up some signs. We really welcome that. Thank you so much for assisting in what you guys did for that. That has helped a lot. It's like anything else in the world. They've been pushed down a little bit. Now they're at Belmont West parking, but that's beyond our scope, so nothing we can do there. So I'm here really to say I ask you to fully support the proposed amendment to Chapter 108 of the Code of Caroline County. And short and sweet, it's been a multi-year journey to get to this point. I'm very happy, and thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this issue? Is there anyone else? Seeing no one else, I will close this public hearing. Mr. Thomas?
I have a question.
Yes.
I just noticed that Mr. Smith said that Omaha Drive was a particular problem and it's been alleviated by the signs, but it's not in the ordinance
No.
for no parking.
No, that's one, that's,
Small portion of Omaha Drive that Sheriff Lipa,
well, we worked with VDOT. We worked with VDOT to put those signs up while we were working on this. It had been a multi-phased approach. So we figured we'd do the first thing we could do right away. So VDOT put the signs up at my request and the sheriff's concurrence. So we haven't addressed Omaha Drive in here. We're talking, this ordinance is particularly inside of the Belmont subdivision, and Omaha Drive is really a periphery road. So we don't want to include it at this time, because if there are spaces, they're not parking close to the intersection, which was the issue. But there are a couple of spaces. If there is a resident in Belmont that owns a tractor trailer, he would have the alternative of parking in that limited area on Omaha Drive. So we're not saying you're in total, disobedience of the law. You have a place that's kind of close, but you just can't be inside the subdivision where the kids are playing. And that's been our main concern.
Omaha Road's not technically.
Omaha Road is not technically part of the subdivision. It's a border street, and we don't really need to add it this time. But if that becomes an issue, I'm sure I'll hear from the folks at the Belmont HOA, but I think we're good for now, and we've given them alternative. Having said that, again, I apologize for you guys being the last public hearing, but I'd make a motion that we finally approve Chapter 108 of the code prohibiting tractor trailer parking in subdivisions. And Mr. Fincham is going to work on the General Assembly version to make it a little more specific. So that's my motion.
Do I have a second? I'll second. All right, Mr. Forehand seconds.
I
Mr.
still have
Michael.
one other question then.
Discussion.
And while we're here and when we're talking about this, how many folks inside the subdivision are parking something other than a tractor trailer that's going to be subject to a ticket?
there are a few, but they're probably 6,000, 8,000 pounds, like plumbing trucks, that sort of thing. We feel this is a pretty good compromise because I think we're looking at tractor trailers, something that's pretty massive.
So just tractor trailers with this?
Yes.
I'm just making sure because
I understand. People got to have a living. They've got vehicles and got to put them somewhere,
It says
right?
trailer and semi-trailer.
Yes.
Okay.
We're talking tractor trailers. It's a first step. We're not trying to get down to
We're not
people's
trying to mess up
livelihoods.
Joe the plumber because he parks there and lives there.
Correct. We got a person that drives a FedEx truck. Okay, it's on I think Johnstown. I mean,
Okay.
that's fine. Okay, from the size and everything. It's the tractor trailers. It's a real risk here.
Okay.
Call the question, Madam Chair.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Motion passes. We move on to unfinished business. The first reading of a zoning text amendment, keeping of domestic chickens in residential zoning district.
Chairperson Long, members of the board,
They're supposed to be.
tonight is the continued first reading of the chicken ordinance. If you remember, we had the first reading at the last meeting. There were some questions about the cover over the enclosure versus pens. So you have an amendment in your packet which attempted to address that issue. I also had a chance to talk to Ms. Long, who raised a few more points, and you have an updated version which addresses, I think, the discussions I had with Ms. Long concerning permits and related to the chicken coops. Currently, by ordinance, we do not require permits for any accessory structure like the little storage sheds that are 156 square feet or less in size. I'm assuming that most of the chicken coops would not be that size, so we amended the ordinance to be consistent with the current size limitation for accessory structures where a permit is required. With that, I'll answer any questions that the board might have.
Do you have any questions?
I do.
Mr. Seeley?
Mr. Fincham, is there any way we can exempt ourselves from the stray dog killing of chickens so that we're not paying for? I will tell you that once a dog kills a chicken, it is not going to stop. And it's going to be a dog from who knows where, and we're going to have people want. That's really my concern, is that people don't understand that you've got to dig. Bowling Green at night, possums, raccoons, foxes, and coyotes, and they all, that is a food source.
We have coyotes in Belmont.
If they get to it before I do.
And if they dig in,
But that's a state law, Mr. Seeley.
I understand that. I'm just concerned that they're going to say a dog, and we're going to have a myriad of animals that people won't understand are going to get into chicken coops.
I understand that concern. I think the short answer is no, but I will refer to Mr. Emerson there.
And I can tell you that the answer is no, because I've already asked it. However, the chickens are to be kept up at night when most of those things would happen or in a pen. They're not supposed to be loose. Therefore, if people are keeping their dogs leashed or confined or under their control, it shouldn't happen. Possums, raccoons, foxes, and everything else go after cat food and dog food that's left outside all the time. So food is food.
But just out of curiosity, what is the, I know we get those sometime, what is the compensation for chickens at $5?
Dollar something.
Mr. Parton?
10.
10?
$10.
What is it?
10.
10, it's 10, okay.
Well,
Man,
Mr.
somebody
Emerson
needs
can
to
give
lower
us a
that.
waiver.
Chickens are cheap at Tractor Supply.
By the time you put $20 of food in. It's a $30 chicken.
We'll just go to the grocery store and buy them a stewed
Oven
chicken.
stuff and roaster.
And eggs are decreasing in price, like strangely.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Fincham on this? No?
I have a location that already has chickens. I just found it right off of 207. Is that zoned for chickens already?
If you can give me the tax map number, I will look it up.
Okay. I just happened to be riding by somebody's house and I saw them there. So
I happened to see some down in Milford not too long ago either.
Mr. Fincham, I know King George and Spotsylvania and Stafford, they all allow this. Did you by any chance check to see how big a problem, if any, they've had? when you were
We
talking to
checked with them in terms of their ordinances, and which our ordinance was based off that. We really did not discuss issues with them. I know Fredericksburg, for example, planning does not get involved with chickens whatsoever. So,
Animal control does there, so. But most of the counties surrounding us do have an ordinance to allow them.
yes, it is, the number of ordinances to allow chickens in residential areas is increasing. The regulations are designed to keep that number relatively small. I think the issue potentially becomes when chickens stop laying eggs and become more pets than egg producers. There could be some issues in the future, but
The people turn in their chickens to a rescue because they're no longer getting eggs for them after they turn 3, they stop laying eggs.
As long as they're not running around loose, I don't care. They go in my stew pot.
Mr. Fincham, I just want to, I think I already know the answer to this, but I want to double check. So if, like for the HOAs, like Caroline, like Landor, if the county ordinance passes and they have something that says they're not allowed, our ordinance, they can go stronger than we can, correct? But they can, so that would still be a situation where and if you're in Lake Landor and they say, hey, look, or Lake Caroline say they're not allowed, that our county ordinance would not.
Our ordinance is still in place. Yes, they could regulate chickens within those communities, but they would be the ones that would have to regulate it. By our ordinance, in theory, yes, we could still issue a permit or whatever to allow the chickens. We can't enforce the homeowners association's covenants and restrictions. So they would actually have to enforce that limitation, not the county. So we'll use Lake Caroline or Lake Landor as an example. If they have a prohibition on chickens, they would be the ones that would have to enforce that prohibition. By our ordinance, they would be permitted.
Okay. So, but let me ask you this question. So then what would happen if like Lake Caroline or Lake Landor decided, hey, we're going to go now with the county ordinance? At that point, we would be the ones who would we be enforcing the 2 per acre or whatever? I mean, 6
That's
per acre.
correct.
So we would now be the enforcer if they went. Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Do we need a motion to proceed to public hearing?
Yes, ma'am, that would be appropriate. It would be probably your May meeting.
Mr. Voorhead, I need a motion.
Make her do it.
I think Madam Chairman's lost control of the meeting.
Can I have a motion to move forward to public hearing, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved. All right. All right, informational calendar.
Madam Chair, members of the board, as already been brought up, please don't forget that next Wednesday we have a 4 o'clock and a 7 o'clock public hearings by the SCC on Aqua, and that's going to be at Ladysmith Community Center. We've been working with the state. Mr. Schiebel's been over there a number of times and to get the room set up and all the things they need to be able to run that hearing. Our next meeting is Tuesday the 10th at 6 here. We'd like to remind you of the 14th. We are running a household hazardous waste collection day, both at the Caroline Community Center here and the Ladysmith Community Center over in Ladysmith. We've got brochures that have been handed out, and the stuff's posted on the web, and I'll have it running on cable hopefully tomorrow. Been a little busy. We have a VDOT public hearing on the Ladysmith Road project. It's going to be held at Lewis and Clark Elementary School. That'll be on the 18th at 5 p.m. And that's for the smart scale project, the widening of Ladysmith Road, and then that moves us all the way to May, if anybody has any other items of interest. Okay. Oh, that's on Saturday, the 14th, 9 a.m. Oh, our meeting, the 10th. Regular time. No, I don't know. We haven't, no, regular time.
No, Walmart. But you were the chairman.
Yeah, I think so.
Clay's district. Yeah, it's not in mine. Who was the chairman?
That's all right.
Closing comments?
Easter Sunday, yes.
Yes.
Closing comments? Closing comments? I needed to clarify. Mr. Fincham has asked me to clarify text amendment 16, 2016, and text amendment 17, 2016, which was the motor vehicle repair service facility, that anything's, they would have to be special exceptions. Is that right, Mr. Fincham?
If you remember when we were discussing the minor auto repair facilities, several members of the board, and I think it was the consensus of the board was concerned allowing those two uses by right in the B1 district
Correct.
and in the planned development district. That motion was not clear at the last meeting when the motion was made.
So do I need a motion to reconsider or just a motion to amend? This is the next meeting, so I could do either.
I would just I would re-motion.
Well, I can't. You can't theoretically re-motion.
No, but you can actually rescind that motion and remake it.
Just make another motion to
clarify.
say exactly what you meant, and then have the board vote on that.
Okay, Mr. Fincham, would you make another motion to say, or restate it so I can make sure you're clear?
The motion would be to allow motor vehicle repair and service facilities minor as a special exception use in the RP district.
In the RP district.
And, you get the other one here. Special exception in the planned mixed-use development district.
Okay, for the purpose of clarity, we'll use Mr. Fincham's words as my motion, and that is my motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
And one last thing, Madam Chairman.
Yes, Mr. Thomas.
For, we had quite a few people come and talk about the school board budget, but in all seriousness, and you know, they all make compelling cases, but Emily Hart, the young 12-year-old girl, made the best presentation of the night. And I just wanted to give her credit for making the best presentation of the night.
I said I would keep her, as I told her dad. She did well. Any other closing comments, Mr. Black?
Yeah, I have a suggestion. I don't know how well it'll go over, but is it a possibility before our public hearing, which is we'll have another one in April, right, on the budget? I mean, as far as we'll be discussing or looking to adopt the budget. Would it be possible to meet with the schools again? Because I think there is some misunderstanding as far as what money we heard 350. Now we're hearing 700. Yeah, and but as far as
we heard 1.4. That
yeah.
point.
Yeah, well, yeah, but right.
Can we work with their staff to where we can finalize, where we agree on all those and other numbers?
Well,
The number we agree on is, I'm recommending 350.
I
as
guess
soon
my
as I
question
can.
is, yes, my question is if there's if we're going to take the budget and everything up in April, tax rate budget and everything in April, I would just think that it would want to come before that meeting if we were to have those numbers and then meet with them again, because there were some things I think that were said tonight that need to be clarified.
Do we need to meet with them if we have the correct budget or figures as far as the whole school board, or would you want a work session with supervisors?
But really,
Two on through two.
Madam Chair, and I think Mr. Black has a good point, but the reality is we need to make sure we have, first of all, the reversion money number, because I think we committed to using the reversion money number to help them with their health insurance as a one-time cost. Then if we're saying you got 700,000, we need to make sure that they use that 700,000 towards the salary study and the commitment that we're making to the teachers, which we already said we couldn't do in 1 year, and they don't expect us to do it in 1 year, but if we make a commitment to give them 3 years, like Dr. Parker said last night, we would have that money there already. We can encumber the next board in 3 years, but we will have 2 budget sessions to say, or 2 budgets to say, you get it this year, you get it next year, and you're right, we can't encumber. Well, in that sense, we can encumber the next board because we do that all the time.
Well, you technically can't, but the only thing I'd like to reiterate is that we talked about if they took their reversion money and subtracted that from this last year's budget. So instead of it being 45 million, it would be 44.5, for example. And that was the new baseline for last year's budget. And then you took the 500,000 that was left, added it to the next year's budget because it's actually reversion money that's been extracted and subtracted. they could make some headway on their own without coming to us every time for $600,000 or $700,000, which, you know, even for good projects, you wouldn't be able to give them necessarily $600,000. We have fire trucks. Mr. Black was showing the fire trucks we've kicked down the road for the last 4 or 5 years that we're going to have to purchase at some point. So I think that needs to be clarified because we came to sort of that conclusion last night late.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We have some numbers before we would need to meet. If you just want to talk to the school board, I think, but, well, no, we're not. We're going to have some of them, but we're not going to have all of them. But I think if Dr. Parker and his staff and my staff can work to where we work down to where we agree on as many of the numbers as we can, we still have an unknown. We don't know what the state's going to do. So, I mean, you have to make a PowerPoint to go through the public hearing, but the state's still not, but we don't know what General Assembly's going to do. But what we do know is my budget includes $350,000 transfer from us. There are some other monies that they get that are local revenue, like we get revenue. They rent their spaces.
And not
They
earmarked.
do this- Yeah. Well,
It's not
it's
earmarked,
just, no,
right?
yeah, it's just revenue. They rent their space. That's what I got to find out.
Earmarked.
It's got to go in as revenue. It's in our budget as
Right.
revenue. And it falls into their operational budget as revenue. So whether they earmark it or not for costs or, so say they rent their building out, there's a cost associated with that. So there are things like that but the bottom line is, if this is $40 million and it's $40,700,000, it's still $700,000. Now, can all of that be used for raises? I'm not saying that. Probably not. But that's what we got to work out internally to make sure that we agree on those numbers.
Yeah,
They
because-
want more than the $350 local money. They know those other numbers exist.
See, but the problem is, and my suggestion for this year is that we do a lump sum instead of by category, because then it allows them to move their money around to make sure they get raises.
They do that anyhow.
Excuse me?
They move it around anyhow.
They can't move it
Well, they
within
can't,
the category.
theoretically, they can't move it from category to
Categories are
category
locked.
without approval from the board, but if we give them the lump sum, once we figure out how to get that $650 for raises, then they have total control over their budget, so if the raises aren't done for the salary study, it's up to them. We're not going to get the 1.3, I can tell, without a serious cut in some other areas. But we can probably get to enough to satisfy their salary study, you know, which is what we like to do, plus use their reversion money to take care of the health insurance one-time cost. That's what I'm looking at, and I want to make sure we...
Well, the only discussion I would add to that, that's certainly a way of looking at it, but historically, and I'm not saying historically here, but historically in 2 other places I've worked, maintenance suffers when they have the ability to shift all the money, and then they go, hey, our building's falling apart, and the county's not doing anything for it. So you
I have long been a proponent of the county taking over maintenance for the school building.
I mean, that is a way to assure that doesn't fall apart, but you have to be careful with allowing that freedom to move stuff out of maintenance.
So so the plan forward is just to not meet with them then, or?
I would let staff work it all out, because
Okay, that's fine.
And then Mr. Cully could send us what they've come up with, and then if we feel we need to get together as a board, we could always call a work session.
Do you guys have a meeting set up yet with the sheriff's office and
Tomorrow at 4 o'clock.
Okay. Can you let us know immediately what the outcome of that is?
They're not going to have all their figures, though, by then. But as far as the resource officers
Yes, that's what I'm
go,
saying.
yeah.
But they need to get them in there right away. They've got 2 trained already, and they need to have at least 2 in the high school considering this Facebook threat, and it's an actual threat. So one extra person needs to get in there right away, I don't care who it is, and there'll probably be some discussion about overtime pay or something else, but
Well, they won't need to be there next week.
they're off next week. But I mean, this week is an issue too, because Monday was a good day, but there was nobody there today other than the normal resource officer, and as Major Mosier said, they were making patrol. And patrols are not in there. 6 minutes is a long time.
Yep. Right. We will talk to him. All right, any other comments by anyone? Mr. Underwood?
I have one comment I forgot. You
had your time.
Well, you had your time. We always talk about the money that comes back through the Dawn Association housing project, and all that money most of that money does not stay in that community. Like, for example, just 2 weeks ago, I think we approved to have a ramp put on the senior citizens home in Bowling Green district, and before we've approved projects in other districts. So the money that comes back through people paying those mortgages does not just stay in that fund, in that housing fund. It's used for other, it was your district last time. Yeah, but it is. Just
All right. I appreciate Mr. Parton ran down some questions I had regarding Fred, and I read it. I had some initial thoughts, and I've reread it a couple times since, and I've actually gotten bothered by the response. But I wanted to share it with you, at least the nuts and bolts of it. We talked about in February, I believe, when they presented the new routes, that they felt like it was going to be a positive change. So we were like, go, proceed. And just to let my colleagues on the board know that they're targeting July 1, possibly later, for any adjusted routes. I asked, why isn't the public hearing now? Why wasn't it tonight? Why wasn't it? And they said there's no plans to do that until after the budget is approved. And then even after the new route, it might take 6 months for even to start seeing that progress. So I've become disheartened by their response and their sluggish. So I'm okay with freeing that money up to go elsewhere. So that's. I wanted to share that with my colleagues. I've been an advocate for them to give them a chance, but it doesn't appear like they can get out of their own way.
Mr.
when it
Boyd,
comes
I
to
would
this.
say, if you would, consider giving me a chance to, or Mr. Black also, to talk to the transportation group at George Washington Regional Commission and fuss a little bit. But one of the things we need to think about is if we could hold off a little bit. We're going to have a presentation on the PRTC program fairly soon, correct? Staff's working on that. And I think before we cut Fred, since that's a transportation group, we probably should get the information and see if we're interested in joining that before we stop. What's another couple of months before we make a decision? Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right,
Long?
so we can put that on the agenda for next month.
Mrs. Long?
Yes.
I just kind of want to do a head count. Mr. Thomas, are you coming to the public hearing next Wednesday?
As long as you call me and remind me.
I will call you and remind you. Mr. Seeley? Okay. Mr. Farren, you kind of need to do that. Mrs. Long?
I'll do one. I don't think I can do both.
Okay, well, that's fine. One or the other. That's fine. Okay, thank you.
All right. Any other comments? I will just say thank you, staff, for hanging in with us with all these extra meetings and these late nights. Wish everyone a very peaceful Holy Week and Easter. And with that, I will take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.